everyone. Welcome to yet another lecture in your ISC curriculum. And today's session, we are going to talk about another topic of world history, which is, of course, World War II. So we'll be discussing about World War II, the factors which led to World War II. We'll be talking about the events of World War II, the consequences, and, a lot of things, all that's there in your curriculum, nothing beyond that. Okay, so let's get started with the lecture. See, if I have to talk about World War II, I'll take you back a few years to World War I first. Okay, taking you back to World War I. 1914 to 1918, as a result of World War I, we signed a Treaty of Versailles. Okay, we signed a treaty. Germany, actually, Triple Alliance and Triple Entente, they signed the Treaty of Versailles. Basically, through the Treaty of Versailles, these nations wanted to make Germany the sole bearer of the entire war responsibility. All right. So they wanted to make Germany the sole bearer of the entire war responsibility. They wanted to extract every loss that they have faced from Germany. All right. Which is why, Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Versailles or Versailles was signed, through which, Germany was, of course, to pay a war remuneration. Such high was the remuneration that the last installment of this was paid on 10th. I don't remember which date in October, but October 2010. Such high was the amount that Germany was supposed to pay. So through Treaty of Versailles, Germany was already, a lot of things have been extracted, a lot of resources had been already extracted from Germany, number one. Number two, you also saw that German currency then, which was mark, German mark, it was devalued as a result of hyper inflation that was going on in Germany. Okay, so all these things happen in Germany, and for a few years Germany saw a lot of unemployment, a lot of crisis, economic crisis. Okay, the population, people were dying because of hunger. Okay, and of course you had the 1929, the Great Economic Depression. It wasn't doing any good to Germany. After all this comes into scene our very own Adolf Hitler. So Adolf Hitler was actually an Austrian born, and he had this ideology that Austria and Germany, they're all one, and he actually wanted to unite all the Austrian and all the German speaking nations. Try to understand one thing, that when it comes to World War II, it's not just Germany we will be discussing about. We will be also talking about another important country, which is Italy. So Germany and Italy. Germany saw Nazism under Adolf Hitler. Italy saw fascism under Benito Mussolini. Okay, so we had these two leaders in Germany and Italy. Now try to understand, Italy had two, in this entire span, Italy sided with it had two sides, let's say, it had two, directions of war. Initially, before 1934, Italy was um, against anti-Germany or anti-German. And after this, it became pro-German. Okay, this is what was happening right now. What were the reasons? We'll discuss in a while. Okay, why 1934? We're going to discuss, through the events. So here, the ideologies were developing. Both of them were dictators who came. Okay, in a few minutes, you'll see how Adolf Hitler, he replaced German Chancellor and he, established a Nazi party in Austria. He did all those things. Okay, so we are going to look at that. So technically, both of them were dictators. Not initially, of course. Initially, we saw that it was Hindenburg who was the president, but death of Hindenburg made Hitler the dictator of Germany. Okay. Now Hitler, I told you, he had a very expansionist policy. His idea was that he wanted to unite all the German-speaking populations together. Okay. Moving on that idea, Germany moved one by one. It first captured Austria. Okay, took Austria into its control, into his control. He then moved towards Czechoslovakia. Now, Czechoslovakia, if you see, there's a small region. I don't know if I have the map to show you all. Let's see the map if I have. Okay. Yup. There we have it. So there's this small region in Czechoslovakia which is called Sudetenland. This is Sudetenland. Okay. Sudetenland had majorly, it had major German-speaking population. German-speaking population. So Hitler advanced towards Sudetenland first. The thing was that while Hitler was doing this, Britain and France, they did not want to, actually intervene. They did not wanted a full-fledged war. They had already seen what had happened in World War I. So they did not actually want a full-fledged war right now. So they were following an appeasement policy towards Hitler, where they did not want any war. Okay? And under that appeasement policy, Munich Pact was signed. Munich Pact said that it was signed between Britain, France, Germany, Italy. And in this pact, Germany was supposed to get this region of Sudetenland, but it was not to annex any other region. Okay, this is what was decided. So initially, Germany got Sudetenland. He was very happy, but he did not wait for a long time. Within a span of a year, he occupied Prague and then took over Czechoslovakia as well. Okay, this is what he did. He took control of the entire Czechoslovakia, where till here you had some German empire, and he set up, just in name a Czechoslovakian party. I mean, a Czechoslovakian government, but the party in lead was, of course, the Nazi party over there. Okay, so ultimately, entire Czechoslovakia was under the control of Hitler. See now, he went to Austria, captured Austria. Went to Czechoslovakia, captured Czechoslovakia. Now he's moving towards Poland. So now Hitler wants Poland. To capture Poland, it would be a difficult task for him because, wait, not very difficult, but I'll tell you why a little bit difficult. Number one, appeasement with Britain and France was done for. Okay, there was no appeasement policy. Britain and France were on a high alert mode. Okay, Neville Chamberlain, the British Prime Minister, earlier, he had said that, okay, we are going to relax and we're going to, not attack Hitler and let's try to, go ahead with a appeasement policy. But now they were all on high alert and they knew what Hitler was trying to do. So they said that if a Poland is attacked, then we are not going to sit back. Okay, we also will attack. Okay, this is what was declared at that time. So seeing that Hitler is advancing towards Poland, they said the same thing. But to take control of Poland, Hitler had to fight one more power, which was Soviet itself. So what Hitler did was, Hitler signed an agreement Non-aggression pact. Remember in the Cold War lecture, I told you that a non-aggression pact was signed by Germany with USSR or Soviet, and when Germany broke that pact, that is when Soviet's expansionist policy started, even towards the East European countries. Okay, earlier, before that, it was Germany which was trying to expand over there. So, non-aggression pact Hitler signed with Soviet, because it knew that if I advance towards Poland, then Soviet would try to stop me. So they did not do this. They signed this non-aggression pact, and they captured half of Poland. From one side, they captured Poland, Germany. The other side, half of Poland was taken by Soviet itself, saying that this region was ours only few years back. So they captured the region. Poland was also captured. Though Neville Chamberlain had said that if Hitler will try to capture Poland, then we will declare a war on them. 1st September, Poland captured. 3rd September, Britain and France, they declare a war on Poland. But it wasn't an actual war. This phase is actually called phony war. There was no war right now. It's just that they said there would be a war. Okay. So this phase is called phony war because the forces actually did not do anything. Okay. The phase of phony war. So yeah, so Poland was also captured. On the other hand, you go to Britain now, and the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, he realizes his mistake and he submits his resignation. His resignation was submitted, and then came the then British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who said, if you see right now, Germany had already taken the eastern side, okay, and it was now moving towards west. So Winston Churchill, he said that we will not back off. Okay, we will fight. There was this famous speech also of Winston Churchill. Okay, we shall fight on land, we shall fight on mountains, we shall fight on hills and seas, we shall never surrender. The very beautiful speech of Winston Churchill. Okay, so that's the time when he gave that speech, and so he technically said, we will not surrender, whatever happens. Okay, before this, what was happening is, after capturing all these regions, let me see if I have another map to show you. Yep. So we can focus on this map. Yep. So after Germany had captured this thing, Germany had captured Austria, and Hungary was also taken, and it had taken Poland, it had taken Czechoslovakia. It now advanced towards France. Okay. Now what France has is, France has two barriers. Earlier also, when France saw that Germany is expanding, it had already built these barriers. One was a natural barrier. This natural barrier is called Forest of Ardennes. This is the barrier. And here, in this area, France had built a 140 feet Maginot Line. So right now, France had two barriers. Germany was aiming towards France, Belgium, Luxembourg, all these areas Germany was aiming towards. Okay. So now what happened is, France thought that they would never be able to cross Forest of Ardennes. It's a very dense, thick forest. German forces will not be able to cross it. Okay. They only had to defend themselves from this side. That's the 140 feet Maginot Line. So all the French soldiers assembled over there. Okay. Other than that, even Britain had come to the help of these countries, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and they dropped over here, and their forces were here. Okay, covering this area. Now what happened is that German Empire, it had large troops, so it divided the troops into three parts. One part went over here, one part to the Maginot Line, and the third part of the troop, it decided to, divert the attention of these soldiers, the allied powers, and they were entering through the forest of Ardennes. Okay, this is what they were doing, and this is how they were moving towards France. Now, France practically it lost hold of all its strategy when Germany, got control of the entire strategy thing. So France lost control of the entire strategy, and also you will see that once the German soldiers they entered here, they captured Sedan. They move ahead. They move this side where the Allied powers were there. They move this side and they attack the soldiers. They're moving for a both the sides for attacking the soldiers of allied powers from both the sides. When soldiers got to know of this, they had no option. They knew that we are surrounded from both the sides now. So the only option left to them was right now to escape. The escape route they got through Dunkirk. Dunkirk was a port somewhere here in France. I don't know the exact place. Somewhere here around France. Dunkirk. There's a movie also, Dunkirk, on the same thing. So basically, these allied soldiers, they moved towards Dunkirk to escape from there. Approximately 4 lakh soldiers were there. They had to escape. So now they did not have an escape route because it was all ocean and ocean and ocean. So strategy was devised where the British Royal Air Force came, the British Royal Navy came to fare. Some civilian ships, some civilian boats were there for rescue. Soldiers were fighting. And finally, approximately 3.5 lakh soldiers were able to escape. But France had seen a lot of bloodshed already. So France demanded peace. And this also came within German territory. Now what was left was 3 things in Germany, in Europe. UK, Germany, Soviet. 3 powers were left. And Soviet, of course, was not going to attack. There was a 10-year non-aggression pact signed in 1939. So Germany decided to attack UK. Okay, soldiers went, attack through air force was done, and let me tell you, German air force had a lot of capacity, a lot of new technology, and a lot of power. They were actually, superseding the British Air Force. The British Air Force could not do much, when they were faced with the German Air Force. So, yet they were fighting hard, and you will see that their hard fight actually results into some, fruitful outcome, and German troops are, of course, subdued and they were sent back, but not before London suffered a huge loss. London was bombed, and so was Berlin in this entire process. Okay, but Battle of Britain Day, of course, 24th October. I guess 24th October, just check it. Okay, 1940. So that's when Britain actually defeated Germany's Air Force. Not defeated, but sent back Germany's Air Force. Okay. If you see, Hitler's ideology was not to actually go ahead and capture UK, because of course UK wasn't actually in the mainland Europe also. So his strategy was more to, sign a peace treaty with them. So his designs now moved towards his biggest mistake. Hitler's biggest mistake and the turning point in the entire thing. And that was trying to capture Soviet. Now, Soviet was a very huge empire, and capturing Soviet would mean that capturing the entire Europe. Okay, Hitler's idea of German Reich or German Empire would have been achieved over here. So he started attacking Soviet. Now what happened is, of course, Soviet was a huge territory, but its army wasn't, it was a big army, but the technology that Hitler's army had, they did not have such a technology. And it's said that these soldiers of the Nazi party, they were also given drugs. That's to boost their power and energy. And they were fighting wars day and night. So they had a tough fight. They gave a tough fight to Soviet, but then of course Soviet was successful enough to push them back. That's when Soviet entered into the war. and it now started helping Britain. Attack on Pearl Harbor. United States of America's Pearl Harbor brings United States of America into war, which wasn't there in the war till now. That jumps into the war, and that's what leads to the Second World War. So World War II did not actually start till now. You cannot say World War II has started. Okay, I mean the events had started, but actual war started after 41. Okay, 42 onwards. Okay, entry of actually, an entry of US turned the situations haywire. On the other hand, let's talk about Italy now. So Italy was also smartly moving ahead. Italy and Germany had a pact of steel. So what was happening is that Italy first captured. See, Italy was in the through the peace treaty in London. They were the secret peace treaty of London. They were promised this region, okay, among others, but they did not get that. So they were already angry with the allied powers now. Okay, they did not get what they were supposed to get. On the other hand, you will see that Italy suffered something in Greece. Okay, basically Italian general was captured in Greece, okay, and killed in Greece. So Italy went and it took the Corfu island. The Corfu incident, killing of Italian general by Greek bandits. So Italy occupied the Corfu island. Okay, of course, later on an inter-allied commission was set up, and it was decided that Corfu island would be later returned to Greece, and Greece was going to pay penalty. Okay, so that was decided. Next, Italy moved towards Fiume. Now, in Fiume, there was this romantic poet, Gabriel D'Annunzio. He had captured Fiume, okay? But the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgi, drove him out, okay? And then there was an agreement between Italy and Yugoslavia, okay? Where a greater part of Fiume was given to Italy, and Yugoslavia also got the port of Barros. Then Italy moved towards Ethiopia, Abyssinia or Ethiopia. See, coming towards Ethiopia, African region was already a region of interest for major powers. This area was rich in raw materials and minerals. Number one, rich in raw materials and minerals. So Italy wanted to capture it so that it could see the Great Depression had affected the entire world, and so did it affect Italy also. So Italy wanted a, what do we say, a compensation of all these things, and that's why it captured Abyssinia. Another thing is that Italy, in 1896, Italy was defeated in the Battle of Adoma, okay, while it was trying to conquer the region. So it was totally humiliated and it wanted to take a revenge for the humiliation. The existing colonies that Italy was having in the form of Eritrea and Somaliland, they were not very rewarding for Italy. Okay, it's not shown over here. They were African colonies. Okay, so it did have those colonies, but they were not very rewarding for Italy in the form of, actually rich raw materials and stuff. So Italy wanted to capture Abyssinia, which was totally rich in raw materials and everything. Plus, if Mussolini had captured Italy, it would have been, sorry, if Mussolini had captured Abyssinia, it would have increased his popularity also. Okay? And of course, everybody wanted to come out of the Great Depression crisis. So that was one another thing. All right. Now, comes the situation where Abyssinian King Haile Selassie, he moves to League of Nations. And he says that please try to dissuade Mussolini from doing what he's doing. But Mussolini had already seen that League of Nations had not been able to do what it was supposed to do when the case of Hitler came in. Okay, and Hitler was going with his expansionist policies. So so Mussolini knew that League of Nations is of no use. Therefore, they did not, of course, he did not pay heed to what League of Nations said. They practically replaced him with King Victor Emmanuel, who became the new king of Ethiopia. Okay, so Victor Emmanuel, he became the new king of Ethiopia. Um, all this while, when Italy was attacking Abyssinia, Germany was also sending troops to the Rhineland zone in March 1936. Okay, so Germany was thus violating the Treaty of Versailles and the Locarno Pact. Okay, which said that Rhineland will be demilitarized. I'm coming to Albania. Let's talk about, okay, let's discuss Albania first and then I'll come to Rhineland. So in Albania, what happened is that back a few years back, Italy gave a huge sum of money to Albania so that it could develop, okay, for its development. And that's how Albania, it actually became a protectorate state of Italy. Okay, just like Sikkim was a protectorate state of India. So Albania also became a protectorate state of Italy. But seeing that so much expansionist policies of Hitler is happening, and there's nothing being done by the League of Nations, as we call it. So he annexed it in 1939. And of course, with Germany, a pact of steel was signed. Okay, so Germany gave full support, full military support to Italy in the annexation of Albania. You have Albania over here. See, so annexation of Albania. So practically the world was coming with Italy and Germany right now over here. Okay, that's your Corfu Island. Yep, that's Albania. Yep, so everything was going in favor of these two powers right now. Coming to the situation of Rhineland, so Treaty of Versailles said that Rhineland would be demilitarized, okay, and it would be made a physical security barrier. But Hitler militarized it, and it was very late that the Western powers got to know about Germany having a huge air force, okay, but they did not do anything. Why? There was a practical opinion in especially in Europe, especially in UK, that this Treaty of Versailles has been very unjustified and very not very fair towards Germany. Okay, they should at least have their own military. So basically, they did not step in, and things were quite subtle while all this was happening, and Hitler militarized Rhineland. Because according to the Treaty of Versailles, Hitler was not supposed to maintain any military, army, air force, nothing. Okay, no navy, nothing. But Hitler was doing it quietly, and his technology was mind-blowing. So all this was going on, all right. But he, of course, was actually going against violating the Locarno Pact. Okay. Or while all this was happening, I told you Britain and France were not doing anything practically because they were seeing that we had already extracted a lot from Germany. So let's just avoid doing any such thing right now, which might affect them. Okay. So they were quiet on this situation, and Italy was seeing all this was happening. So Italy's ambitions arose, and they kept on rising. And Italy decided that since Britain and France, they are not doing anything when the question of Rhineland is jumping in, they won't do anything even when the question of Italy jumps in, or when we are invading areas. So they kept on going ahead with their annexations. All right. So this is what was happening. This is an overview of Italy and what do we say? Germany and their policies. Now we'll go one by one and we'll see what all was happening right now. We'll discuss about the factors leading to the war. We'll discuss about the Anglo-French appeasement policy, which we have already overview we have taken. We'll now just take the points. Okay, we'll talk about what events happened in the war, and we'll also see why were the Axis powers eventually defeated. I already told you the major reason was the change in Hitler's policy at the last minute, where he was trying to actually, move towards Soviet. okay, Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, all these things, they became a major reason why Axis powers lost. And by the way, please take a note of this. Allied Britain. I'm just writing the major powers, all right? Minor ones were, of course, there, but they're not that important. Axis. You can remember it with Rome, Berlin, Tokyo axis. Rome, Berlin, Tokyo. See, what was Japan doing all this while was Japan was on its expansion. It was moving towards China. It took Manchuria. Okay, it captured Manchuria, and that's when it moved towards Pearl Harbor. So even China had joined right now this side. Okay, when Manchuria was captured. So these three powers, they were trying to, expand all the while. Okay, so we'll talk about these few reasons, these few aspects. Okay, we'll begin with the factors of the war. The most important factor was Treaty of Versailles. Okay, the harsh terms imposed on Germany through the treaty, they created a sense of resentment and economic hardship in the country. Okay, then you have the rise of totalitarianism. That's, totalitarian regimes, Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and there were militarists in Japan. Okay, and all of them had expansionist policies. Okay, Hitler's expansion into Rhineland, annexation of Austria, which he of course calls Anschluss. Okay, and the occupation of Czechoslovakia. He was totally, violating Treaty of Versailles. On the other hand, appeasement, the policy of appeasement pursued by Western democracies, Britain and France. I told you they were not doing anything. They were trying to calm down, and they were preventing any such war happening. Okay, so all this contributed to the belief that Hitler will not be stopped. And there was a Munich Agreement also signed, I told you, for Czechoslovakia, but of course, Hitler annexed Sudetenland. Total failure of League of Nations. See, League of Nations did not have any peacekeeping force. No peacekeeping force. Because of which they could not do anything when Hitler was expanding. The Non-Aggression Pact, Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, as we call it. And finally, the invasion of Poland, which led to the attack on Germany. So these were the factors which led to the, expansion of Germany and gradually building up for the World War. Now we'll jump to the events of the war. All right, so these were the factors we were talking about when it comes to World War II. Okay, previous factors, and the most important one was, of course, the invasion of Poland, because I told you that invasion of Poland, up till now, the Allied powers had been saying that we are following the policy of appeasement, and we say that, okay, you can take certain land, okay, Austria, you've already annexed, but we don't want a war in Europe. So we are allowing you to take whatever you're asking for. But beyond that, if you try to annex Poland now, we are definitely going to step in. That's what the Allied powers were saying. But Germany did not listen to what the Allied powers were saying. First September, Poland annexed. That's 1939, by the way. And 3rd September, Allied powers, that's Britain and France right now, declared war. Now try to understand one more thing. Though they declared war on Germany, they did not actually step into the field. What had happened is they said they will help Poland, but they did not help Poland at least till the time of Hitler's invasion. And the Polish army, it was not a very modern army. They were still on their horses and they were using their old methods of fighting. Whereas Hitler's army had all that modern technology. So Polish army was not well equipped to fight Hitler's army. Number one. And Britain and France, they came later after the invasion of Poland had happened. They stepped in the scene very late. Okay. Neville Chamberlain, what do we say? Um, his strategies were late strategy. He seemed to be very indecisive. So that is what was one factor which led to the World War situation. Okay. Now, what were the events which led to World War? Number one, US, it refused to join the League of Nations after First World War. Okay. Locarno Pact was signed between Great Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, and Italy. And in this Locarno Pact, Germany had accepted that whatever frontiers were being decided by these Western powers, they were the frontiers of Germany, decided through the Treaty of Versailles. Kaiser William, he fled to Holland, okay, and that's when Germany became Weimar Republic. It was no more Germany; it became Weimar Republic, okay. And when Weimar Republic collapsed, because of course, a lot of inflation and repayment of debt, that is when Nazi Party was formed. Okay, year 1932. Death of Hindenburg, it made Hitler the dictator of Germany. And after that, of course, Hitler began all his, what do we say, raids. Now, what were the main objectives of Hitler? Number one, he wanted to destroy the Versailles settlement. Okay, that was number one. And number two, he wanted to build up an army because through Treaty of Versailles, he was said no army, no military would be there in Germany. Rhineland was already demilitarized, and Hitler was asked that there will be no military in Germany whatsoever. That is why, we come to know that later Germany had been silently building up an air force. Okay, and when people came to know of it, they did not. When UK people came to know of it, they thought that it's pretty justified that they are doing this because the Treaty of Versailles had been quite unfair to them. Okay, so that is what was happening then. Um, then he wanted to recover the lost territories, like the territory of Saar and the Polish corridor, which they lost during First World War. So he wanted to recover these territories. And Hitler's idea was to make a German reach, whatever we call it, German empire per se. Okay, so he wanted to annex Austria, take Poland, Czechoslovakia, and then keep on moving so that he could annex the entire Europe and make a German empire. That was his main objective, and that is what he was moving towards. Now, let the event start with the boycott of disarmament conference. The disarmament conference was held in 1932 in Geneva, Switzerland. At the same time, Japan had withdrawn from the League of Nations, okay, and Germany withdrew from the conference as well as the League in 1933 on the grounds that France did not agree to have equality of armaments with Germany. So if they're having a lot of arms, France is having a lot of arms and Germany is not being allowed to have those arms, it's not pretty justified with Germany. So Hitler basically, he withdrew from the conference. He started to ignore Treaty of Versailles. Okay, and this was a very important step in his pursuit of rearmament and expansionist policies. This also gave a hint to the Western world that Hitler is now moving towards arming himself and militarizing Germany once again, which he was, of course, doing. Okay, he was building up army, navy, air force, everything. Then German-Polish Pact. There was a 10-year non-aggression pact signed between Germany and Poland in the year 1934, okay, where Poland became a neutral buffer state between Russia and Germany. Okay. See, the real motive of Hitler was to make Poland less dependent on France. Okay, so it wanted to keep Poland right now stress-free. Remain stress-free, we are not going to do anything to you. Okay, so he made it very clear that he did not have any interest in the Polish borders. Okay, and at the very same time, France and Russia, their relations were improving. So Hitler was worried that if Russia's and France are their interests are moving towards a better side, then Russia might side with France and soon they might take over Poland. And that's when France would jump into it. So France will cover us from both the sides. We don't want that happen. So it wanted to keep Poland in a very, a relaxed mode right now. There was a plebiscite in SAR. For all of you who don't know plebiscite, it's a kind of a referendum where people vote as to what do they want. So there was a plebiscite in SAR in 1935 where SAR was detached from Germany. Okay, earlier SAR had been detached from Germany through Treaty of Versailles, and it was given to France for 15 years. In 1935, there was a plebiscite in Germany because 15-year span had been over from 1920. So there was a plebiscite in Germany where Nazis now, see, it was, plebiscite in SAR. It was supposed to be given to people, but Hitler is very famous for his propagandas. Hitler is very famous for his speeches and propagandas, and he's very smart enough to manipulate people through those speeches and propagandas. That's what he did right now. So Nazis, they jumped in SAR and they started continuing a propaganda in favor of Germany, and there were 90% of people who voted in favor of Germany, that SAR go to Germany, and that's what happened. Then Rhineland was captured in 1936. Through Treaty of Versailles, I told you Rhineland was demilitarized. But in 1936, Hitler denounced Rhineland demilitarization, okay? And he actually denied the clauses of TOV, that's Treaty of Versailles and the Locarno Pact, and he occupied Rhineland once again, militarized Rhineland. Germany also intervened in the Spanish Civil War. See, in Spain, year 1936 to 1939, there was a civil war that was happening, okay, where Republican government was moving towards communism. Hitler was anti-communist. Please try to understand one thing. Now, most of you might be confused that if Hitler was anti-communist, why did he sign a non-aggression pact? Situation then was that Hitler wanted military gains. Hitler wanted administrative gains. And it was best in diplomacy to sign a pact then with Russia, so that Russia does not intervene when Hitler is trying to annex Poland. Okay? Or Russia doesn't, Poland. Basically Poland. It was for Poland that Russia is not intervening when Hitler is trying to annex Poland. Or Hitler is advancing in his gains. So that time, keeping aside his hatred for communism, he signed the anti-communism pact. But later on, Hitler, all the while, his ideology was against communism. So, of course, you see that is why he moved towards communist Russia later on. Because he wanted to capture the entire Russia, remove the communist ideology, spread his own Nazi ideology over there. So Hitler was anti-communist. And in Spain, there was the Republican government which was moving towards communism. Okay? So this Spanish Civil War was actually between pro-communist Republican government versus pro-fascist Franco's army. Okay? Hitler and Mussolini, they supported Franco, who were pro-fascist. He was against communism. While the rest of the Western countries, they were supporting the communist side. Okay, so this is what went on in Civil War. Then came the Rome-Berlin-Tokyo axis. 1937, Rome, Italy, Berlin, Germany, Tokyo, Japan. So, anti-Comintern Pact was signed with Japan. It was against Russia's communism. And Italy also joined this pact in 1937. And that's how it became a tripartite pact. Rome, Berlin, Tokyo, axis. Okay? Militarization of Rhineland, I have already told you. Next came the very beautiful, I had explained these things, I have explained these things earlier also. Now we're just coming to a little written facts. Now Hitler wanted to annex Austria. He wanted to unify Germany with Austria, which he called Anschluss. Okay? 25th July, Nazis attack Dollfuss, the Austrian chancellor. See, Italy right now, I told you, Remember yesterday I told you, I mean, not, I mean, in a few minutes ago, I told you that 1934, Italy's policies were something different, and after 1934, they were something different. So, 1934, what happened was that Hitler annexed Austria, 1934. Okay, and Hitler's policy, of course, I told you it was Anschluss. He wanted to take control of the entire German-speaking nations together. For Italy, Austria was a buffer state between her and Germany. Okay, and Italy totally gave Austria its independence. So when Nazi, they tried to come here in Italy, Italy also sent its army towards Austria, and they tried to protect Austria. So right now, Nazi attempt to capture power failed. But Hitler also saw that his attempts in Spain, they were not resisted by the Western powers. So once again, he went ahead with his plan in Austria, and finally 1938, Austria captured. And after 1934, Italian policy also changed because Italy saw that nobody was doing anything with to calm down Germany, to ask it to relax down, tone down whatever it was doing. So even Italian policy changed thereafter. Okay. I already told you demand for Sudetenland, because Sudetenland had majority of German population. Okay. So there was an agitation under Henlein in Sudetenland. Okay. Henlein is actually a German fascist party in Czechoslovakia. And Hitler wanted to take Sudetenland because of his Lebensraum policy. Lebensraum is providing living space for the German population. So Hitler moved ahead and captured Sudetenland. Chamberlain also did not say anything because he felt that it's better to be calm right now, seeing the situation of Germany. So he accepted, seeing the situation of the world. So he accepted Germany's demand. Okay, and a Munich Pact was signed 1938, where Britain, France, Germany, and Italy, they agreed. Britain, France, and Italy, they agreed that Hitler can capture these areas, but they will not enter this area, which was next year 1939 broken by, because Hitler moved towards Prague and then took Czechoslovakia under its control. Then it moved towards Poland. Okay, see, demand for Danzig for construction of German highway across Polish border. Basically, Hitler wanted this Danzig for construction of Polish borders, for construction of German highway in this corridor. Okay, Chamberlain guaranteed that Britain would help Poland in case Germany attacks. And but Germany knew that they will attack. Germany also knew that Britain is trying to approach Russia. So they immediately signed a non-aggression pact, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact in 1939. Okay. Hitler thought that now that Russia is also on our side, Britain and France, they will not come to the aid of Poland. But they did come to the aid of Poland, although a little later, they declared war on Germany. On the other side, Italy, it was also getting aggressive. Italy had signed a secret Treaty of London in 1915, where it was assured it will get regions of Trentino, South Tyrol, Istria, Trieste, and Dalmatia. But in Paris conference, Italy did not get them. And soon later, Mussolini came to power. I told you Italy's foreign policy was divided into two parts. Britain, it signed the Anglo-German Naval Agreement of 18th January 1935, where it said that Germany is allowed to build its navy. Germany is allowed to build its navy. And Mussolini thought that Britain was only working in its own interest. Italy was on the side of British in the previous war, but they understood that Britain is only going to work for itself and it's siding with Germany. So And he also saw the capture of Rhineland, how basically the Western powers did not do anything, the Allied powers. Okay, so Italy thought that it could gain more if it sides with sides with Germany rather than siding with British. We come to the Corfu incident, 1923. These parts I've already told you. That Corfu incident occurred where Italy conquered Corfu. Then later we had the Inter-Allied Commission. It was given back. Annexation of acquisition of Fiume was done in 1924. Then annexation of Abyssinia was done in 1935. And finally, Albania was also taken over in 1939. So Italy was also siding with the German side and moving ahead to capture power over there. So that was pretty much it about the events of the war. Now we'll move towards the next part of the war, the after 39 situation that happened, the Pearl Harbor situation, entry of US into the war, Russian entry I've more or less told you, but yeah, in written we'll be studying in a while. Okay, we'll also talk about what happened after the war. What was the situation, which most of you know. The aftermath of war was not a very good one. Every country had surrendered. Germany. See, Russia entered into the war when Hitler invaded Russia. See, what happened is that after the capture of France, Russia was apprehensive that Hitler is going to take Finland. And Russians had interest in Finland. And, even Stalin lived like very close to the Finnish borders. So they were very quite, apprehensive about what Hitler would do. So they moved towards Finland and they asked Finland that, come join us. But then they did not agree. And then they had a war between each other. And finally, Finland agreed to give 11% of its area to Russia. Not agreed, they actually lost the war. Russia entered into the war because after that, Russia signed a pact with Britain and France. Okay. And then you had attack on the Pearl Harbor of US, which made US also jump into the war. Okay. Slowly and gradually, German territories were one by one taken away. One side, Britain was coming. France also got some hope that now, okay, since Soviet has also joined, US has also joined. So France also, started once again attacking Germany. So from all sides, German borders were shrinking. Mussolini was killed by the locals of that place. I'm not getting the name of that locals. What do we call something from P? But yeah, he was killed, and Hitler. It was heard that Hitler committed suicide, and yeah, that was pretty much end of the war. But Japan was not surrendering. That's what made US drop those 2 huge bombs. Fat Boy Red Man, if I'm right with the name. 6th August 1945, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 2 bombs, atom bombs were dropped. And that's what made Japan surrender a month later. Okay, in September 1945, Japan also surrendered. And the formation of United Nations was laid thereafter, and then you jump into the Cold War situation. Facts, let's see with the next few slides what were the facts regarding the situation. All right, but these were the major events of the war. Okay, I would still say the biggest mistake that Germany did was to attack Russia. Had Germany not attacked Russia, the then Soviet, German empire could have been created because Hitler did have a strong army. He had a strong motive. And except Britain, most of the Europe, the bigger parts of Europe had already surrendered. All right. So let's go ahead and discuss the facts now about the events of the war and the aftermath of the war. All right, everyone. So now we continue with or yet another important aspect when we talk about World War II, which was Spanish Civil War. The European situation is known to you all. What was the situation? What was the struggle for power among different countries? Okay. Among that, Spain also became a controversial region. Okay, Spain was, as it is, struggling between this the struggle of isms that we call it, and later on you will see also that this the war, Spanish Civil War, is all about isms, fascism versus communism. It's a war of isms. Okay. Another important factor why why Germany and Italy wanted to keep Spain on their side was that it was very easy to bomb Marseille, the factories, the Italian factories in Marseille from Spain. Marseille, whatever we call it, pronounce it. French pronunciation is a little difficult, different, of course, but you know, as long as you understand, this is fine. So it was very easy to bomb the factories over here from here, which is why the capture of Spain again became a very important aspect. So now Germany and Italy had their eyes towards Spain. Okay, talking about Spain, Spain was in itself struggling. It had a it was a monarchical country. Okay, constitutional monarchy was there under King Alfonso, but in 1929, General Rivera, he seized the power over there. And 2 years later, Socialist Republic Party, it had gained power in Spain. But after gaining power in Spain, situation was not very beautiful for the party itself.